Hello everybody, and welcome to my World Trigger chapter number 232 review. This chapter is titled The Away Mission Test, part 29. We are 29 parts into this away mission test, and I don't even think we are on day like 6 yet. Oh my gosh, this is a long arc. Not as long as Rank Wars, but still a long arc. So, last time in the whole World Trigger, which I'm guessing is the away mission test part 28 if I had to guess, we got a lot of detailed information about how a bunch of our squads are doing. We mainly saw how, I think it was Kodera's squad 6 were doing, Karuma's squad 5, and of course Sua's squad 7. And along with that, at the very tail end of the chapter, we cut to a border team meeting where all the managers were sitting there talking about stuff, the HQ bosses. And they were pretty much saying, well, I think the squad who's going to have the most trouble today is Ninomia Squad 8, as we get a picture of Chika sort of sitting there all nervous like at the end of the chapter. And chapter 232 here really focuses on Chika and just how Ninomia Squad is doing. We briefly cut over to some A-rankers and how they're pretty much watching everything and viewing all of this, but it mainly focuses on Ninomia Squad and in a match between Ninomia Squad and Sua's Squad, which of course is one of Samu and one that Chika are on respectively. So it's a really interesting chapter, and of course another thing, great thing to note is that we got a chapter last month in March, and now we've got one here in April. But sadly, it looks like our next chapter is going to be coming on July 1st, or June 1st, I say, so we're not going to have a chapter during May. But during July, we may get a 2-chapter spree like we sometimes get. So we don't really know a whole bunch right now, but that is as much as we know right now, at least, right? So pretty much to actually start off the chapter, we start off with Ninomia Squad operator, Karagami, right? And she's here, and she's just like, phew, good. Well, at least we got one win, as we see the matches that Ninomia Squad done today. They've done 5 of them. First one was versus Ninomia Squad and OG Squad. That was a tie. We didn't see Ninomia Squad and Kakizaki Squad. It was a tie. Ninomia Squad versus Murakami Squad. Murakami Squad got the win. Ninomia Squad versus Kuruma Squad. Kuruma got the win. And Ninomia versus Kitazoe Squad. And Ninomia Squad actually got the win against Kitazoe's big bomb grenade launcher sort of tactics that he was employing, right? But we see Karagami's here, and she's just like, well, we got one win, but we really need to approach this more cautionally than we did yesterday. And she namely goes to Chika, and she's like, okay, Amatori. And Chika's sort of just sitting there, and Karagami's just like, Amatori, is everything all right? And Chika's like, oh, yeah, you're right, that's really what I should do. As all of a sudden, Ninomia sort of speaks up, and he's just like, speak up if you're having an issue. And Chika's like, no, I'm just fine. We can obviously tell that Chika's not fine during all of this, right? And Ninomia's just like, really? And we cut over to Emma, and Emma's just looking at Ninomia, just giving him the stare down, and he's just like, really? Is really all that he has to say? Doesn't he have any grand advice for her? He's like, she's obviously not doing just fine. We didn't get in our word bubble that's saying that she isn't obviously doing just fine, as we cut over to Konami, who is with Usami here. Of course, 2 people who are in Tamakoma branch, so they obviously know what's going on with Chika and everything, right? And Usami's just like, right, Kitazoe's squad aside, they're really coming all after her. And Konami's just like, she's getting torn to shreds, and Ninomia's still sucking with that figure yourself out approach. As Usami's just like, I have to imagine that Ninomia is somehow acting in his squad mate's interest, but still, it doesn't really seem very leaderish right now. As we cut over to 2 of Miwa's squad people, as we see Miwa himself, who, if I'm not mistaken, we haven't seen Miwa in a long time, but we also see Yonea here, and Yonea's just like, Mizukami Squad is also getting their butts whooped. I can't believe it. However, unlike Ninomia Squad, they've kept it from being a total massacre. And which is interesting because, if I'm not mistaken, we see that Mizukami Squad actually won against Ninomia Squad earlier, so which means that presumably they have one win when in this day so far they haven't had many wins, being that they're getting massacred. Miwa then continues, it would help a little bit more if Ninomia was actually there for his squad mates. Otherwise, Amatori is bound to fall apart. I mean, she practically already is. And Yunei is just like, oh, you think it's really bad? And we then come over to some more A rankers as we see Azumi and Chika here, right? The operator for Tachikawa Squad, right? As we see Azumi's here, and he's just like, even so, why is Amatori getting wrecked so hard today? As we see that Chika is just like, Tropico units have a major weakness. Azumi's just like, really? And he's like, oh, are you talking about the combat and experience thing? And Chika is just like, yeah, that's a part of it. As we see that this is one of Chika's skills in a way, right? But it is actually a negative skill. Pretty much just saying that combat and experience is, of course, a negative skill. And given any attack that consumes one additional attack token over its required limit. So if it costs 3 attack tokens, it'll cost 4. And also, cooldowns are not increased, so any weapon cooldowns or anything like that isn't affected by this, right? But still, this isn't a good skill for Chika to have, and it really makes her units not the best, as we'll see here in later pages. Azumi sort of continues on, and he's just like, but up through yesterday, she was tearing squads apart for firepower, no? Why is that skill having such a big effect now? And we see that Chika is like, it's really a fatal flaw in the context of the game's overall mechanics. Though that's tricky to realize at first, but I'll admit, it's all the bombast. And Azumi's just like, you're almost sounding kind of smart, you. As she's just like, haha, go flatter on me more. But she continues to say, well, just watch closely and you'll see what I mean. Especially since the next match features Sua's up-and-coming squad against Ninomia's faltering one. As we see that match 6 for Sua's squad 6 or 7 is versus Ninomia's squad 8. So of course we have Chika here versus Osamu. And we get a bunch of narration about sort of the first part of this battle in a way, right? As it just says that Ninomia's squad units tend to favor Bagworm. So right to start, Oki units will use Grasshopper to try to take groups and scope out where the enemies are in the current area, right? And that's what we see. We just see 2 Oki units climbing on top of buildings, looking around, right? We didn't see that Oki's just like, Amatori's units are all clumped together in one spot. None of that carpet bombing from yesterday, I guess. As Osamu's just like, I suspected Ninomia's squad is also caught on to Chika's big weakness. And Oki's just like, oh, really? Who would have thought? And Katori's just like, well, it doesn't matter. Our strategy's not changing, right? And Osamu's like, yes, we have to target Chika first. And here we sort of go to another sort of text bubble as Osamu's sort of dialogues here. She's just like, so our data swap with Kodera Squad informed us that Chika's got a pretty low action token stat. We see that she only has 12 action tokens, and this is written in really cool as we see all the question marks, and of course, they shared their information with Kodera Squad. So what has ended up happening here is we see the action tokens is written in as 12, we see the Tryon stat, the attack stat, and the defense stat is also written in, but the skills, which we see that Osamu Squad knew about the combat and experience and the Tryon max ability that she has, but we see that Kodera Squad gave them the information of the lead bullet sniping and the lead bullet hound, right? So just that information coming together, it's actually really cool to see it written out like that in a way that will affect broader world triggers in a way. So we see here that we sort of cut to a flashback now, and Osamu's just like, there's also that negative skill of hers, that combat and experience. As a result, Chika has far fewer chances to attack than you might expect. And Oki's just like, she's fighting that well with one-handed tear behind her back. Man, I'm impressed. And we see that Katori is just like, so basically she's majorly underpowered character in this game, yeah? And we get some more dialogue just going. Chika's units are hampered by that combat and experience skill. Depending on how she commands them, she can easily run out of action tokens early in a single turn. As we see sort of a numbered line sort of going down from like 1 to about 11 here. And we see that Chika is moving on hers and ends up stopping at 5, while when Katori is at 7, she can keep on moving farther to that total 11 mark just because she has more action tokens and she's not hindered by this combat and experience that really limits everything. So we see that Katori's here and she's just like, Well, the way that I see it, the way to win this game is to defend and dodge enemy attacks during turns and in the beginning, and strike backs towards the end, as you're just like, oh, okay, that's sort of interesting. And we get some more narration just going, by focusing solely on defense and evasion during the first half of their turn, and preserving most of our action tokens for later, we see that it's like Chika's units are a non-factor in the turn's later half, which gives us a massive numbers advantage. As we sort of see an interesting image here where we see all of the units that each side commands. So we see 5 Suas for today, 5 Okis, 5 Osamus, and 5 Kotoris, and then we see the 4 extra backup units, which I'm not going to name because they don't really come up in this battle here. And we also see that they have 24 total units. While we go and look at Ninomia squad, who has 5 Ninomias, the 4 bonus fighters, the 5 Ozmas, and the 5 Emmas. And we also see that 5 Chikas are there, but it's so early in the turn, the Chikas can't fight anymore, which already gives a 5-unit lead to Sua squad almost. We get some more information just going, what's more, once Chika's units are out of action tokens, she can't refresh the shields that we've been chipping away at. So by focusing our attacks on those shields, we can smash through Chika's sturdy defenses. As we actually see this happening in the battle, we see that Sua and Osamu units are ganging up on some people, and our Sua and Kotori units are going up. There's some joint sniper fire between all the Oki units and the extra one the backup units they have, all firing at the Chikas, and one of the Chikas' shields get breached, and we see that 2 of them get bullet holes just put through them. As we see Chika in the real world with Ninomia squad just like, I'm getting wiped out again, and she's like, form me a defensive cluster isn't working. I can't withstand those hits, but I'm already out of action tokens. What do I do? Ibis uses more action tokens than Meteor, and sniping is a bad option given my low accuracy. If only they come in range for my hound shots. As we see that Osamu in Sua squad is just saying, stay out of range or if we stay out of range for hound shots, we'll be fine. Like, Oki, you keep the pressure on Chika. Meanwhile, we'll take the eastern route. And Sue's just like, man, after yesterday, this is a breeze. As Oki's like, yep, I'll get on to targeting Chika. As we see that 2 Ninomia squads are over there using some composite bullets. I don't remember which one they are, but I'm guessing probably Salamander or Tomahawk, but I would have to reread the series to fully remember what shape each one of them is. So we see that Ninomia is firing. We see that Sua and Kotori are going after and barely dodging these composite bullets, as Kotori is just like, we've entered the enemy's territory now, and Yui's just like, okay, watch out for her backup units here. And we get more information just saying, up through yesterday, Ninomia Squad 8 utilized Ninomia's ranged attacks to halt our advance to Chika as her meteors blew us to bits. Once there's no cover behind, nowhere to run, Emma and Ozma's sniper attacks would pick off our surviving units. But today, Chika's units all stuck to the west side of the map, so my units with their shields could easily lead a charge and bulldoze through. As we get a bunch of talking between the table, as Kotori's just like, Ninomia himself attacked from far away to stop us in our tracks, so can you guys handle the others in melee? Everybody's just like, sure, we can do that. We see the big sort of climax of this fight here going on as we see a bunch of units all running towards each other. Osamu units are helping defend off, so are Sua units, and eventually Ninomia comes to hit Osamu, but Osamu actually has equipped today dual-wielding Ray Gus, which means that he's gotten an up defense in all of this, right? So while Osamu eventually gets taken out by an Emma sniper file, Kotori's able to come over, use a lead bullet to end up getting Ninomia on the ground. As we cut over and we see it in Ninomia, it's like they gave Kotori lead bullet, and we see Ozma here just like, sister strategy against Ninomia and Almatori's shields. As we see the actual units in this match have revised trigger loadouts, as Kotori has Bagworm removed and lead bullet equipped, and Osamu has dual wielding Ray Gus. We see all of the Kotori units are going over where they end up getting rid of 2 Emmas. And we also see that Kotori is using Grasshopper now, as Kotori is like, by the skin of my teeth, I somehow did it, as Emma's is like, damn it, Grasshopper, what am I supposed to do? as we see that he continues to go like, the attack cone for snipers is just too narrow. I can't defend against someone who's bum rushing me. As we see Emma's here, and he's just like, if we lose again, Amatori's really going to be down. As we see Chika's just really like, come on, there must be something I can do. As Emma looks over to Ninomia, and he's just like, what are we supposed to do, Ninomia? As we just see Ninomia's eyes just peering into a screen at the end of the chapter. And that's where it ends. So we've got a nice 21-page chapter this month. And it's really just detailing another battle, right? I do really like the beginning of the whole chapter where we have the stuff with, obviously Chika's not fine, and what is Ninomia actually doing here. Then going around and talking to the A rankers for like 3 pages, it's sort of interesting. And then it's just a battle going back and forth into battle simulation, and as we eventually see, new strategies are being used, the lead bullet, and a dual-wielding ray gust, for instance, and we actually see something I didn't mention, that only 3 of the Osamu units have the dual-wielding ray gust, and only 2 of the Kotori units have the lead bullet. So, just sort of an interesting thing to note here. So, I really don't have a whole lot more to say about these chapters. Like I said, it's going to be 2 months till we get another World Trigger chapter, which is a little disappointing, but what are we supposed to do here? But overall, I mean, good chapter enough. I mean, not totally interesting, but I really hope that we understand what's going on with Ninomia next time, and sort of see what's going to happen with Chika and how Sua Squad is going to win today, because that's really what it seems like you're doing. So, without any further ado, that's going to be it for me. Great World Trigger chapters, normal part, what was it, 29 if I'm not mistaken. Chapter 232, if you've enjoyed this World Trigger series and you haven't seen some of the other videos, go check them out. I promise they're probably as good as this one. And without further ado, I don't have anything else to say, so this is going to be Glowplasma 231 out. Alright, see you guys.